Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning, all.
Welcome to another podcast of Thoughts Explored.
We do love to explore our thoughts, don't we? And share them with you.
We do. So, today we thought we'd talk about joy. And I was thinking about sometimes people have a fear of joy. It's like what I hear people saying a lot is it's too good to be true, waiting for the other shoe to drop or, things like that. So I want to explore that a little bit more and just get some of your thoughts on what is your experience with joy and how is that different than what I just said?
Well, I am very pro-joy myself. And so when you first brought up this topic to me, just very recently, I was a little confused as where you were going with that, because I was like, that would be very silly to fear joy, wouldn't it? We want joy in our life.
That's what we tell ourselves.
But I think that my upbringing I think this is going to be something that is about semantics and the words used, because my upbringing was to embrace joy and I find joy in all kinds of places, and I identify as having joy readily. So that's where I think I was a little bit confused with your use of the fear of joy. Now, I think what you were just saying, I understand it as not believing that we can have joy, or like having the doubt, like you said, waiting for the next shoe to drop, or doubting that we deserve joy, or that joy could actually find us or dwell in us.
And so what would you, if I were asking you, which I am, what are some suggestions that you might have for people that out there that struggle with embracing joy 100%, or out there sleeping with one eye open?
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like it's kind of, I'd have to think about that, because it does seem like it's almost a nature kind of a thing, and maybe how people are raised, or some people readily understand that they deserve the joys that surround them or that come to them.
Right.
And so I don't know whether it's about
But we can change.
believing that you deserve it, or
We have the ability to change our perspective at any moment, should we choose to.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my question is, what are some of the things that you do that help you identify that you're fully embracing the joyful moments that come your way?
I think one of a really good practice for people that in their nature have a tendency to sleep with one eye open, or not believe that joy is meant for them, is to start recognizing the little tiny joys and calling them joy and recognizing them as joy. Like when you see the buds on the flowers for the first time after a long, dark, cold winter, I identify that as giving me joy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just looking for like, oh, it's the joy of home ownership, or like the huge, big ticket item joys. And so I think it's a good habit. Maybe it's similar to the habit of having gratitude, even just for clear running water. Those kind of little joys. And I think if you get in that habit, that is helpful, of acknowledging, even just the joy of a good hot cup of tea in the morning. Instead of like, well, I mean, that's nice, but there's like, it's not a big joy. Does that make sense? To kind of give even the little ones,
well, it's working
their due.
For you.
And then,
It's working for you. So that was basically the question, is like, what are some of the things you identify as, so that's great. What comes to mind for me is that there are some people that, I think of this too, are not able to be in the moment and enjoy it because they are anticipating the end of the moment in which the joy will have been gone
dissipate
for that
Yeah.
particular event. And so I identify myself as one of those people like a while ago. And that's why I never wanted to get a pet, because I felt like no matter how much joy that pet brought me, that eventually it was going to go. And then I
as
would
things do, as pets do.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to transition. And so eventually there I would be, sad that the poor animal is gone. And now that I've gone through a couple of transitions with pets, it's kind of like, yeah, it's not the best once they're gone. However, you move on, so it's a learning, I think, that um, and that is where I think you really practice your being in the moment instead of really being concerned about, well, what's going to happen after this? What's going to happen after this? If you're so focused on that, you sometimes can stop yourself from experiencing what's right in front of you, right? Because you've made all these calculations and you've got all these things that you're not going to do because you're anticipating what is going to happen at the end of the road.
And I have a thought about that as it's coming to me. It's like just the word in and joy is enjoy. And so to maybe meld joy and enjoy together, I enjoy an ice cream cone. And really, I'm basically saying it gives me joy. I am in joy with the ice cream cone. So when you have the habit of sleeping with one eye open, or looking ahead to when that ice cream cone is going to be gone, or the dog will die, or people will go away, all of those things, then you're entirely missing the enjoyment.
Exactly.
The enjoyment.
Exactly. So I think, everybody is really talking about mindfulness and being in the moment. And I really did kind of want to also define what that means for each of us at any given time. I know it changes. It depends on, what the experience is at that particular time. For me, it is giving my attention to whatever I'm doing 100%, which is challenging these days, I think. So if it is, and I think that's why, meditation is good, because it teaches you that for this particular time, even if it's 15 minutes, you are going to give undivided attention, focus to a particular topic, or maybe it's a music that you're listening to, maybe it's a podcast. I think that that's an important skill when you talk about, to me, mindfulness and being in the moment, and not looking toward the finish line. And I think this is this translates to all different kind of things. It's like when you're in a conversation, being present and in the moment is actually actively listening to who you're in conversation with, and not devising your rebuttals while that person is talking, because you have not heard anything that that person has said. If you're developing counter
Counterpoint.
counter conversation to the conversation. So that for me, I found to be helpful, and I have to remind myself of that on a daily basis, because it is accepted in our current configuration of society to be multitasking and to be doing more than one thing at a time. And I have found myself as of late saying, wait a minute, hold on, I need to focus my full attention on this and not just be hearing it in the background someplace. So,
Well, and that is a habit that that I struggle with all the time, and I do find that it feels like mostly when I'm not living in the moment, when I'm not paying attention to the moment, it's because I'm anticipating the future more than the other side of thinking about the past.
Mhm.
I don't know that I spend too much time thinking about the past so much as, okay, this is fine right now, but I'm also in the back of my mind, I need to get to the grocery store before noon, like that kind of thing.
Yes.
And that is definitely, unlike living in joy,
Right.
I am very good at that.
Yes.
And I think I do quite well with that habit. But the living in the moment is a challenge to me.
Yeah.
All the time. The
Yeah.
times that I'm really living in the moment is when I'm gardening,
Mm-hmm.
like directly
Yes.
planting or harvesting
Yep.
in that moment.
Yep.
If I'm in a really, really, really good book
Mm-hmm.
with no distractions.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I do spend a lot of time as I'm doing something thinking about my next steps.
Yes.
And sometimes obviously it's warranted when you're driving and your next step is to look for parking. But a lot of times it's not. A lot of times it's just multitasking in my brain and not even for any good reason or necessity. It's kind of just recreational, random, busy brain that isn't helping anything one way or another. It's not necessarily getting anything done.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's a good ending point. Just to kind of summarize, I think it's going to be, and it always has been, but I think in particular now, to develop some sort of practice for yourself in which mindfulness is a component. That's my suggestion. For me, it's taking my walks.
And also practicing living in joy.
Yes, well, that's where we started, and
Yeah.
not being. Don't be afraid of the joy. Walk into the joy.
Enjoy
Walk into
it.
the light. Yes. So on that note, friends, we will see you again next month.
Yes.
For our monthly podcast. Thanks again for listening, and we are sending love, gratitude, joy,
High vibrations.
happiness to all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.